Good morning, Stampers. This is Jenny Day, and I'm here today to share with you a technique called the faux linen technique. And I know we've seen different videos and things done in that way, but I've never seen a faux linen kind of card done in vintage style. Thought I would share that with you and we'd have a little bit of fun today. It's really relatively simple. Uses soft suede, crisp cantaloupe, old olive, and calypso coral colors. And it does use something we haven't used maybe in a while, are the little clay with a little mold. I made this ahead of time and I'll show you how to make that real pretty. So we use the clay rose and calypso coral and a little scrap of calypso coral punched out with this postage stamp punch. And I stamped and made a little little watermark. Looks like with the postage collection set, looks like a stamp. And we have a tiny bit of the Victoria ribbon. I just used a glue dot, hold it together. I'll show you what we'll do with that later. And so we have a few accessories, but let's get to the card. It's pretty fun. We want to get to the main part, which is the faux linen. In the background here, you can see kind of, and not too close, it looks like fabric or linen. And that's the look we're looking for the background. So let's get started on that. I cut a piece of white glossy cardstock. It has a little mark on it, but you won't see when we're done. 5 by 3 7/8. So to start with, just use a sanding block. There's different sanding blocks you can use, but I'm going to use this one to go one direction. You can see it when you look at the light that you're actually making a design. That looks plaid, but it's looking more linen. So we did that, and we also went ahead and punched out with the Framelits Labels collection in the glossy cardstock with the labels. And I went ahead and roughed that up, and now I'll show you the next step here. I took a paper towel, just wipe off quickly the dust so it doesn't get on your stamp pads, and we'll use soft suede with a sponge. Let's go back and forth with this sponge, then it will reveal our pattern that we made underneath. So we'll go one direction first, kind of fast. We'll go the other way. It's really kind of an aha moment, this card is. If you like vintage or you just like the look of linen, it's really nice. Okay, and then I did the same thing with the small piece. Roughed it up and did some sponging. And then we're going to take our postage stamp card. That's the main one we're going to use, and we're just going to stamp that quickly. There we go. We've got our postcard looking like it's getting somewhere. And then we can use our grunge water blotchy part of this stamp set and just do some random splotches to make it look old. Then in the meantime, we'll take the rose from the Stipple Blossoms, the solid one, and we're going to do crisp cantaloupe. And that's just beautiful. We're just going to do some in the corners. Just kind of here. We don't even have to... Oh well, that's okay. Look at how pretty that looks. Okay, and then we'll put the other piece, the rose, the fill-in part of the rose. But we're going to do that with calypso coral. And just right over it, not even with a stamp of majig. Because stamping is just forgiving. And this is a two-step stamping anyway. Let's see how pretty that's coming out. It needs to dry a little bit. We'll just let that dry for a sec. Okay. And then, in the meantime, just to finish the background, we're going to finish it with the leaf part of that Stipple Blossom in old olive. How about just randomly doing in different directions? Look how pretty that's coming alive there. It looks beautiful. A lot of vintage cards have the corals and the tan colors and the greens. So that's the look we're going after today. Okay, and so then that is the main part. And what you could do too is sponge around the edges to make it look much older. you know, more vintage with a sponge. But we're going to set this aside to dry. I've already got one made up. This is sort of already done. I've taken some Calypso Coral baker's twine and I've made a cross there, and just a standard card size that I sponged around the edges, and just make it a fourth of smaller each layer that you use. And we're just going to glue this on with some adhesive and put it right on to our card base. Now it's just a matter of putting these others together. So go ahead and overlap the two postage stamps that way. Then we're going to put one dimensional, and we're going to stick that right in the middle of our thread. It's all stuck together. Now we have one more bit of stamping. It's this little piece here. We're going to do Oh Hello, and we're going to use the suede. So we'll do Oh Hello on it. Then we're going to take those leaves again, and we're just going to do a little bit in the corner. The hat is done too. So we'll take two more dimensionals. Right where it says please deliver to, we'll just pop it up, stick it on there. Now we already have a glue dot with our Victoria lace, but we'll just take one more glue dot. Here we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to tuck it right underneath. You can see where I tucked it right underneath there. And then we have our little rose. To make, you can leave it this way. See, I just press it on the pad to give it the color. But if you want to make it more watercolor, just take your aqua painter and fill that in. Perfect. Now you want to take a glue dot and glue it right to the card after that dries. And as they say, voila, that is a beautiful vintage card used faux linen. And it's beautiful. Hopefully you'll try this technique and make some vintage cards with it. So for any of the products that we use today, you can visit jennydaystamps.stampinup.net for any of these things we use today. So happy stamping, and get your stamps out and play.